Welcome back to the Deep Digger Sports Pod. I'm your host, Drew. My other host, right over there.
What's up? It's D. Good to see you again. Be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe. Drop some comments below. Let us know your thoughts. We are talking Week 10 NFL action, baby. I'm excited.
All the storylines, but please subscribe. We're getting closer to 500, and yeah, I'm gonna be going crazy when we get there. So let's talk Bears fire their offensive coordinator, and a lot of people were. Well, I was seeing Middlecoff talk about this on the volume where they're like, "This is a weird day and time of day to be firing your offensive coordinator. You usually do it either like Monday morning, you're firing your coordinator." So he was saying he got pressure from the players, he got pressure from the team locker room itself to make this move, but he was going to ride it out with the OC and keep this struggling offense going.
Oh yeah, 100%. I fully believe that they were going to keep this going. And I did see multiple reports were saying that hey, there was a ton of players. I think they said 7 players came up to them and were like, "We need to make a change at offensive coordinator." And they got the ball moving on this. And I mean, this is something that's happened multiple times during this Bears season where the players have come to them and sat them down and be like, "This offense is not working." And I mean, the first time it did work for a couple of weeks where Shane Waldron was like, "Okay, I understand what you guys are asking for. Now let's go ahead and I'm going to switch it up and we'll move forward from there." On this one, though, I don't know if you heard these reports, but people were also saying that of those players, a fraction of those players were also calling for Tyson Bagent to be at quarterback as well. I
Yeah,
mean, this entire organization's in disarray right now.
yeah, it's falling apart. And listen, they were 4-2. They were in a good spot. But if you look back at those games, their offense was not performing. They were winning defensively, which is what you want to see. But Caleb Williams looked terrible in a lot of those games. And it wasn't just because of him. They're not scripting the first drives of games. Like one of the most basic elements of having a solid offense in the NFL. Why would you kind of throw that out the window and say, well, we're going to have kind of the plays we want, but we're not going to script them and make sure that our team gets in a rhythm? And you saw it week in, week out. Caleb Williams struggling to get going early in games. And when is he good? When everything breaks down in the fourth quarter and he could just react on instinct. And I think a lot of people are saying DJ Moore doesn't like playing with Caleb Williams. And you got veterans starting to question, like, is he a guy that can get us some wins right now? And that's not to say that they don't like him long term, but it's just looking like he's missing throws, and combine that with the offense is getting called terribly, and the offensive line is playing terrible. They don't have a run game, and your quarterback and receivers are just not on the same page. Like everything is leading to a disaster for this Chicago Bears team. And I think going to a player like Badgett, who has more experience, could add some structure and could add a little more life to the team. But you can't switch out your number one pick right now to go to a guy who is a career backup.
But at the same time, like maybe he could use that reset. I mean, this team is going nowhere. The season's kind of over for them. The writing's on the wall. I mean, they were in a good position. They've lost it. This organization is a dumpster fire. Maybe you do just need to kind of, hey, let's reset. Let's not get this guy hurt. We know he's our franchise. We have some players here, and I'm gonna go like DJ Moore is a problem for this team. Like they should have traded him at the deadline. They probably knew that they were gonna get pennies on the dollar for him. So they're like, okay, we'll wait. But he just doesn't get he was such a Justin Fields rider that I just think that Caleb Williams coming into it was never going to get the benefit of the doubt from DJ Moore. In this entire season, he's just had such bad body language. He's just been such a bad vibes guy for this entire team. It's just so crazy to
Well,
see.
I put that also on Eberflus for not being able to control this locker room and really, get a hold of all the narratives going around. Like this guy should have been fired at the end of last season. Let's face it. The only thing I think the worst thing that could happen to the Bears is they started winning games at the end of the year because their defense was playing really well. And that's good because you're like, oh, Montez Sweat can contribute. We have some guys now, but you kind of got your perfect scenario for firing a coach and bringing an offensive mind to help Caleb. Like that kind of ruined that plan. So I don't understand why he's not fired right now.
I mean,
He,
because who's going to step up? You know what I mean? Realistically, who is going to step up on that staff? I think that's the same thing that's going on with Antonio Pierce with the Las Vegas Raiders. They just let go of everybody that could have stepped into that role, and I think it's just a dead man walking. I think we're going to see him as soon as the season ends. He's out.
yeah, definitely. And DJ Moore probably getting traded too. And
But I
you
mean,
look
like,
back too on the draft plan, they take Roma Duze when they could have got a lineman. They desperately need Caleb Williams on the field, just like throwing his hands up, like, what's going on here? What's going on with my life? Because their offensive line is terrible.
yeah, I mean, I do kind of like I did like that Roma Dunze pick. I mean, you double dip, you get two of the premier players that you're really hoping to get. Um, I just don't see the vision for where we're going to be going from here. Like, and then how do you move forward with Caleb Williams now? Like, we see cracks in the armor, we see cracks of like this team foundationally is just not rallying behind him. Can you figure out a way to like find some grace with some of these veteran players? Can we like uplift this guy, or do we need a complete cultural reset? And we're going to bring in a whole nother coach and we're going to just kind of blow it up from here.
Well, I think if you're watching this Bears team, like Caleb Williams, I think 2 years ago was handed this torch of he's the next Patrick Mahomes. He is going to be the number one pick. He's the most talented player in the country. And then last year, I was kind of hesitant of like, is he really like this amazing player who's on head and shoulders above everyone else? And he's going to come in and dominate in the NFL. And then we get to this year where it's like, okay, this guy wants fucking ownership stake in the team. He wants to get paid a crazy amount. He wants to be treated already like Patrick Mahomes, and his production is not there. It's not there. He's looked bad at times. He's shown flashes, but I don't think he's shown enough flashes to where you're like, this is our guy for the next 15 years. I don't think you could definitively say that Caleb Williams, if you take out the draft status and take out the money, that is your franchise quarterback that you're comfortable being with for the next 10 years.
I think he was put in a really tough position as well. There was a lot of people on this team that really did believe in Justin Fields, that wanted to make Justin Fields the guy moving forward, and they were hurt when they moved away from him. And so coming into that, you had to prove yourself above and beyond what you normally have to as a rookie, because you like the team was a little bit slighted. They felt like, hey, we could win with this other guy. And now you're bringing in this dude. And is he all that? Is he really going to uplift us? So I think there's a little bit of a disconnect between Caleb Williams and the rest of this roster.
Yeah, and it's also he's coming from the Pac-12 where the level of difficulty we're seeing it this year. USC can't they're nothing in this new conference. So you see the discrepancy in the talent level. So how good was he really playing in that conference, which I love me some Pac-12, but let's face it, it's not an SEC, it's not a Big Ten.
Yeah, 100%. I understand that as well. But I mean, his game did have flaws coming into it. And I think that they could have really used an offensive coach to get the most out of him.
Like right now, if you had to choose a redraft, are you taking Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May? What order?
I listened to the like Barstool Chicago guys, and they were saying like no matter what, whoever was going to Chicago was going to get screwed over, because the foundation there, the organization there was set in place, and they were just going to do whatever they were going to do. You know what I mean? And so I think that it was a losing scenario regardless of who you're drafting in that spot.
Yeah, I think the coaching staff it was going to be a bad situation, but there also is like some good there because they had a defense. They have a bunch of weapons in the receiving game. their line can use work. They have some backs who should be performing better than they're performing. And then we're talking about Jaden Daniels. Oh, he doesn't have really any help. He doesn't have all this before the season. So it's not like he went to like the perfect situation. It just happened that things are falling into place for him.
But also, like, again, coaching matters in this league, and Eberflus had proven that he was not a good coach. So why would you keep him in that spot to ruin another quarterback? Like, the Bears just do Bears things, and that's the difference between good organizations and bad organizations. And historically, I know that the Commanders have been a bad organization, but this is a new owner. This is a new philosophy coming into it, and they hired two really good guys to work with this rookie quarterback and build this roster that people around the league felt really good about. I mean, people were trying to call Cliff Kingsbury from Thailand and be like, "Hey, can you come coach for us?" And he was like, I need to take some time." And when he was ready, he did take that call with the Commanders, and I think it ended up being perfect for him to work with hand in hand with Jaden Daniels. And Dan Quinn is a guy who's been around the block. He's taken teams to the Super Bowl before. He's a guy that's really well respected. You can't say anything about that of any coaches that were on the Chicago Bears coaching staff.
I'd say look at Drake May, the guy who just beat him. Like we've seen Drake May make some major growth already in the season. He can run, he can throw, and he's playing with. I mean, you're talking about making chicken salad out of chicken shit. Like the the level of talent, I'd say, is better in Chicago than what Drake May is dealing with in New England. And the coaching staff isn't great either. We like Gerard Mayo is not one of the top level coaches in the league, and look at what Drake May is kind of looking like now. Like we're seeing the guys rally around him, and we're seeing his talent kind of shine through.
Yeah, but also there's no expectations. You're playing with no pressure whatsoever. Yeah, you're playing with the pressure of being an NFL quarterback, but at the end of the day, no one gives a fuck what the New England Patriots are doing. No one
If
thinks
you're
that they are going to be a playoff team. People have such expectations on the Chicago Bears, and other teams have expectations of the Chicago Bears, so they are going to come hard at them. Nobody's gearing up for their A game against the New England Patriots.
if you're Caleb Williams and you're labeled as the next Patrick Mahomes and you're the number one pick and you want like all this status and you want to be treated already as a great quarterback, you need to perform up to these standards that people are putting on you. Like you cannot play, you can't be throwing like 20 yards and a half and just be like, "Oh, well your expectations are high." Like no, I mean Drake May has expectations as well, not as much as Caleb Williams, but he's out there slinging it.
He looks good, but again, you're playing two different games here. You're playing one where it's carefree, they're expecting you to look like a rookie quarterback, and then you have another one where it's like the organization is talking like they were going to make a deep playoff run. Other teams understand that. Like again, no one is gearing up their A game against the New England Patriots. No one is like, "Oh, yes, like we have a really tough matchup. I'm going to go out and showcase." Realistically, they're doing that for the Chicago Bears. They're like, we know that we are going against the number one overall pick. We're going to make him look like shit. We're going to throw so much stuff at him that he doesn't know what to do. We are going to just blitz the hell out of him. And they've been doing that. They've been beating the hell out of him the entire year.